All right. But I don't actually, there we go. People are coming in. Now I need to, am I recording already? Let's see. It says,
yes, you are.
I'm recording somewhere. It's either to my computer or the cloud. We'll figure that out after the fact. So let's pull up the chat. So we're going to see where you're from. So this is just making sure my audio is working, and I love to see where everybody's from. So put it in. Trampus is here. And first comment, South Carolina, Chicago, Texas, Denver, North Carolina, Maine, Virginia, Georgia, Minnesota. Come on, let's get international. El Paso, Texas. Did I miss? Gotta get in Germany. There it is. Has to happen at least every webinar by one person. UK, Norway, great. Kentucky, all awesome, guys. So glad to have you. If I learned my lesson last time, I can only half pay attention to the chat because it gets a little rowdy in there. So just, be mindful of all the shenanigans, as Chris Morgan is saying in the chat. We will get started. If you guys do have any questions, the whole team is here as far as panelists. So we have VD is on today, Ashley, Joe, Kyle, and Marco. So they'll be handling your questions. And you can even have each person talk specifically about the track. If and when we get to the track briefs, if there are any questions that they need, we can open up their mics and have them talk about it if you guys do have any specific questions. So let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the webinar. Let's not do that. Here we go. So today I'll be going over updates. I feel like updates are getting longer and longer to take about half the webinar, but it's all fun and games. Then we're going to do a review of just, we've had a lot of changes, Garage Gym Athlete, with new standards and things that we're doing. So I'm just going to review some of that stuff. I know we have new athletes and on here and everything. So I'll just talk about, kind of the overall picture of our programming, what we do, why we do it, and all that good stuff. I'm going to be talking about MAF, or max aerobic function, and how that plays into heart rate. That's kind of one of the new methods that I wanted to brief today. And I'm actually going to have you guys calculate a MAF heart rate. So we'll be doing that on the webinar together today. So if you have a piece of paper and can add and subtract, you will be fine. Calculator optional. So we're going to be going over that. And then obviously at the end, we'll be doing the track briefs and sample programming. So you guys know, where you want to be going into 2021, because it's a new year. It's going to be an awesome year. And, I want to make sure that everyone's on the right track and you get all your questions answered. So let's get into the updates. Again, if you're new, this is the team. There's Joe, Ashley, Kyle, VD, Marco. You're exposed to most of us if you're listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. So Marco handles the Enduro track, VD shred track. Kyle does a lot of our coaching. Ashley has a lot of behind the scenes work and also handles the women's health track. And now Joe, also a lot of the behind the scenes, but he's handling the strength track. And me, I mainly do hard to kill track and also the ugly step cousin of Garage Gym Athlete programming, which is the BCT track. So that's the other one that I'm managing right now. And we will talk about that a little bit more, but this is the team. Now subscribe and review to the podcast. If you don't, like I say every time, occasionally we run into somebody like, oh, I didn't know you had a podcast. Huge fail on my part. If you didn't know we had a podcast, we're publishing 4 episodes per week. So go subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I think we're on Audible now. Like if you have Audible, you can get our podcast on Audible. You can get on Amazon Music. You can get on Spotify. Of course, the Apple Podcast app. There's just a lot of places you can listen to us now. So why not? Why not? We normally cover the science, a topic, and the workouts for Meet Yourself Saturday every week. And we also do Ask Me Anythings. And one of my favorites are our athlete of the week. This week was Ryan Caswell, which I think he's on today. And that was a really fun interview. But I really love interviewing anybody who steps to the mic and wants to talk about their journey of being a Garage Gym Athlete. So go listen to it if you're not already. Women's health track. So I'm actually really glad that Ashley is here today, because if we do have any women's health track specific questions, she can answer them. But the women's health track is officially a go. Ashley has already gotten a good amount of people into the program. I don't even know where we are at on slots because we do cut it off. But if you do have any specific questions about the women's health track, then direct them towards Ashley and she will be able to help you out with those. But I'm just really excited that we're doing that again. So if you guys need any information on it, just ask. Now, this is a big one. The Killing Comfort planner is I want to say in the works. It's 100% done. It's been sent to the printer. So if you guys were kind of around for the Killing Comfort book launch, then you know that we also created a planner that coincides with a lot of the concepts from the book, The Killing Comfort. And so we gave out a PDF version to almost every single person. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people got the PDF version, their little videos on like how to use it and everything. And we've made a few tweaks and changes from feedback. I mean, very minimal, just a few things. And it has been sent to the printer. It is being printed right now. I hope to have the first official copy next week in my hands. The second I have that in my hands, we can start the pre-order process with the idea of getting these Killing Comforts out to you guys in January. But this is kind of what the book cover looks like. If, a quick behind the scenes, it was really funny. We hired a designer to do 2 different book covers. One was the burning chair that a lot of you have seen. And then the other option was the wolf. So the designer made 2 options. And it was like a lot of people got to vote. Ultimately, the chair won, but everyone, it was so close. Some people were like, I love that wolf. So we decided to put the wolf on the planner. So it still got used, which I'm really happy about. So the wolf made it to print, right? So I'm really happy about it, guys. And so the Killing Comfort planner, keep your eyes peeled. It'll come out in a 5-line Friday announcement. I'll probably announce it in the group too. Because the Killing Comfort planner is not just something like, this would be a good idea to coincide with a book. It's really something I've been keeping as a personal journal, exactly how I laid out here. It's like how I write in my notebook every single day, things I challenge myself to do every single day. And it's just nice to have it in a more like, legitimate format and something that you guys can use. So looking to get that out really soon. Now we're going into Fit Week. We're deloading or somewhat deloading this week and then going into Fit Week. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but big thing for Fit Week that you guys need to know, submitting those PRs. If you didn't know that already, you submit those PRs, you get the black shirt or you can get the red shirt, and there are even patches involved now and stuff. And I'm going to talk about those things in just a moment as well. But the black shirt, submit a video PR, the red shirt, submit 5 video PRs, and it needs to be in that the same Fit Week to get either one of these shirts. And you do have to submit those videos. Again, I go over this every single webinar. It has to be a video and it has to be in the Facebook group. Otherwise, I'm really excited that you got a PR, some sort of performance metric increase for yourself. But if the world or our community doesn't know about it, then it didn't happen, because we really need everyone else to see that, to get motivated. This is how we foster that community and get people excited about their progress and even get feedback on lifts and everything of that nature. So get your PR stuff. And I say stuff because there's more than just shirts now. I'm going to get into that in a second. Where can you do that? If you did not know about the more documents and links section, I go over this every webinar too. Check it out, guys. Go open up the app, bottom right-hand corner, hit more, and you have all these different things that you can click on. So the PR shirt, that's how you could submit it. Has like a tutorial on how to find your video URLs and stuff that you can submit. I have the EO3 elements in there. This is how you do track changes, because we're going to talk about different tracks. And if you're like, after seeing that, maybe I want to do shred, or maybe I want to do hard to kill. This is how you change your track. I actually had an athlete ask me today how to change tracks. And, that's how you do it. So then there are goals. This is always a great thing that you can start at the beginning of the year, enter in your goal and then get held accountable to that goal. It's a cool system that we set up. And if you want to, get some good sleep habits going for this year, another thing that's in the documents and links, substitution conversion chart. If you are running and you want to know what that is on a bike or rowing and all those other things, you want to know the conversions for that, we have a link for that. And then travel. If you're traveling, this is a great time to talk about that as well. If you're traveling for the holidays, but you don't need necessarily a full track change for it, you just want some workouts. We have 1 month of no gear workouts right there in the app. So you can download them in PDF format and just knock them out when you're traveling. If you are traveling for the holidays, I know it really depended on where you're at in our current pandemic. Okay, quick review. Why Fit Week? I talked about this on the podcast. I think it's published on Monday, so you guys wouldn't have heard it yet. But the Fit Week is really important to me because what we're doing, if you're training a garage gym athlete, we have 4 days to make you a better human being. That 5th day, that Meet Yourself Saturday, is optional, right? You don't have to do the Meet Yourself Saturday workout, but we really encourage those other 4 days. So that gives us 4 days to make you better in all of the different areas that we consider making a fit, healthy human being. And that's why Fit Week is so important, because our training sessions, we can't waste any time. We can't be inefficient. We can't just have you get, sweaty and do hard things and call it good because you burned some calories. We're actually trying to move numbers. We're trying to move metrics. This is what makes us different than every other programming service out there. Is we actually care about your progress. We care about how you are moving along in our system, and we want to track that progress. We want you to make it public. We want to celebrate it, and we want you to know that there are standards that we want you to move through. Fit Week is very important. It's proving for us the effectiveness of our programming, that we know what the hell we're doing, and we're not just giving you something to burn some calories and sweat and say that was really hard. That's not what we're looking for. We're really looking for you to become a better version of yourself and move the needle in all these different areas. Last time, this was the entire topic of the webinar, so I'm not going to go over them all now. All of our webinars are uploaded to YouTube. If you want to go back and check them, they're even posted in the Facebook group. So if you do want to like a deep dive on all of the new standards, we did a podcast episode on it. I did a webinar on it, but these are the new standards. If you are new here, then these are just the standards for you. They have changed, but these are the standards going into Fit Week. Here are all the things that we will test in Fit Week. And then here are your competitor established and recruit for both male and female, the standards that we are looking for you to get to. So those are the standards. And I think someone, I don't know who it was, if you're on the webinar, you could chime in. Someone made an awesome spreadsheet that will help calculate these things for you by entering in your own numbers. We stayed away from that just because we're trying to put everything in the app these days, but it's in the Facebook group. He posted an Excel spreadsheet or like a Google sheet, and it was pretty awesome. So be sure to check that out. And I'll see if I can uncover it once we get off the webinar. Like I said, we're kind of off of the spreadsheets because they're just hard for people to access and not, super user friendly. So we have gamified Fit Week. And so every time you go into Fit Week in your testing, you're going to see that, okay, I didn't do this. I got 0, or my weight was in here. So I got 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. And then at the end, you'll find out whether or not you are a recruit, established, or competitor right there in the app. So you know how many points you got. And another thing that's cool, if you look on the very last day in your app, once Fit Week is released, there will be an exercise tracker. It won't be purple. It'll be gray with like a little barbell on it for you to enter in your total Fit Week points. And I recommend that you get in the habit of doing that, especially our long-term athletes, because you'll get to see your total number of Fit Week points like on a graph, just like it was a PR, like a back squat or anything else. So you can really track how you do cycle to cycle over total points. So really cool. Make sure you guys are utilizing those. All right. This is our full system of programming. Like I said, I'm just kind of reviewing some bigger concepts here. We do concurrent training. All of the tracks are concurrent training. And we want to encourage you on a daily basis to do the EO3 elements. And then once every 3 weeks, that 4th week, we do body geometry to make sure that the athlete is balanced and that you are healthy and optimal and staying safe by getting all the different muscle contractions and planes of movement and everything else, maybe we didn't see as much in the last 3 weeks of training. And so this is what it looks like. We do concurrent training for 3 solid weeks. That 4th week is that body geometry, and we want you to do EO3 elements every single day. That's why they are in the app. All right, so now I announced these a while back, but we finally at the point where people are eligible for a lot of these things. So a refresher on the Garage Gym Athlete reward system. So like I said earlier, the black shirt during Fit Week, you get 1 video PR in 1 cycle. You get the black PR sent to you for free. So a lot of athletes are eligible to get that right now. The red shirt, 5 video PRs in 1 cycle. We will send that to you for free. And then there's the PR patch. It's 10 video PRs. It's across the lifetime of your account, and it's also free. So we will send it to you at no charge. There are some stipulations on the PR patch, and those are more outlined in the application process. But what you're going to see after Fit Week are these things will become eligible. So if you've already gotten the black and red shirt and you're going for the PR patch, we will have a way for you to apply for it like you did do the Killing Comfort patch. We already have that process, and it'll just be something that you can enter in your name and email, apply for the patch. You'll have to submit more PR videos. You'll need 5 more to make that total 10 if you've already gotten the red shirt. And then we will review it and get you a PR patch. The Meet Yourself Saturday patch, or the Meet Yourself Mental Toughness Practitioner patch. So this is an honor system. You do purchase it, but that means you've done 10 or more Meet Yourself Saturdays. We already released this a few times, and it shows up on Saturdays. It will be on this coming Saturday after Fit Week. So not this coming Saturday, 2 Saturdays, you'll get your access to purchase this patch. So we pop it in the just a link in the Meet Yourself Saturday every couple of weeks there. Killing Comfort patch means you completed 80% over the cycle. We have very strict rules for this. We send out an application and review those who apply for it. And those are going again. We had problem for a long time on just reporting. We have now worked around that completely. So Killing Comfort patches, and we've sent out a bunch of Killing Comfort patches over the last couple of months, just from a backlog that we did have. So if you're on that list, we are fully operational with those. Now, the last one is the ACE patch. So 80% over 5 cycles. Again, very strict rules. We don't if you're on the fence, we don't give it to you. And so also free that we will send this one out. This is the first official time people can start going for this. So if you think you're there, we will also have an application for that. So you can fill it out. We'll review and get you that patch. Haven't actually sent one of these to anyone yet because it's a brand new thing. And like I said, this is the first time people will be eligible for it. So I am going to be sending that out to you guys right after Fit Week. So after the cycle officially concludes. So if you guys have any questions about those, let me know. And I kind of already went over it. So I will be sending, this is the question we keep getting, is like, how do I get these things? We will contact you. We're just going to send an email out. You can apply for each, but don't apply for something you didn't get, because we will just send it to you. The PR shirts, we don't normally reach out to people because it's fairly obvious in the group, but all the other ones, we will reach out to you. All right. Is everybody ready for the new method? You can get out your scrap piece of paper. And I got to tell a little backstory here. And I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. So we are getting into math. So this is a method that was developed by Phil Maffetone. I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, and it's something that we've been playing with in BCT. And here's the deal, guys. I'm a firm believer in Zone 2 training. We've been doing it for a long time at Into 3 Fitness, but I've been looking for ways to dial it in for different athletes with different heart rates. And the further I went down this rabbit hole, the more research I did, the name Phil Maffetone kept popping up over and over and over again. So Phil Maffetone was a Ironman triathlete, and also he's a doctor, and he has trained a lot of Ironman triathletes. And he also too believes heavily in Zone 2. And that's kind of how I ended up, we kind of I found a bunch of his information just because I was going down that path. Like, I knew Zone 2 was good, but he's 30 years ahead of me in his career and has already figured some of this stuff out. So I was like, well, we're going to try and shortcut some of this stuff. And so what we want to do is make sure everyone's Zone 2 is really dialed in to them specifically. And so there are 2 things that we're going to do right now. I'm going to flip to the next slides, and we're going to calculate your MAF heart rate zone. So your MAF heart rate zone is going to be, it's in Zone 2, but it's even more specific than that. It's a 10 beats per minute range within Zone 2. And it might give you a new Zone 2 A lot of people on BCT, like I said, are doing this. And my zone 2 jumped up almost 20 beats per minute, meaning I can now operate 20 beats per minute higher and still be in zone 2. Or that's not true. I think it's like 13 to 15 beats per minute higher. So anyway, you got to look at this and try and dial it in. I'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to use it and where it's going to be used. But this is something that if you really want to get your bang for your buck out of the training and how we're programming things, then pay attention to this. If you're like, I never really cared about the heart rate zone stuff anyway, don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. But for all the people who do want to follow it, let's do it. So here we go. Get out your piece of paper or do it in your head. Subtract your age from 180. So 180 minus your age. I'll give you guys like 5 seconds to get that number. All right. Modify this number by choosing one category below that best applies to you. Okay, if you are recovering from a major illness, including any operation or a hospital stay, are in rehabilitation, have been prescribed any regular medication, or are chronically overtrained, subtract an additional 10. So 180 minus your age, minus another 10 if any of this applies to you. Okay, if you are injured, have regressed or not improved in training or competition, get more than 2 colds, flu, or other infections per year, have seasonal allergies or asthma, are overfat, are acutely overtraining, or if you have been inconsistent just beginning or returning to exercise, subtract an additional 5. Again, so this is not a continual thing. It says modify this number by choosing one category below that best applies to you. So you'd be A or B, right? And then C, if you have been training consistently at least 4 times weekly for up to 2 years without any of the problems mentioned in A or B, no modification is necessary. So it would just be 180 minus your age if you're like, hey, I'm good. And then the last one is if you've been training for more than 2 years without any of the problems listed above, have made progress in your math tests. Don't worry about it being specific to math. Just if you have made progress in, let's say, Fit Week, and you have improved competitively, add 5. So if you feel really good about where you're at right now and you're training over the last 2 years, you would add 5 instead of continual subtraction. All right. So that is your math number. So we're going to be programming it. Hard to Kill is the first place that you're going to see it. BCT's already seen it. BCT will continue to see it probably for another year. And then we will also start throwing it into Body Geo Weeks, or really just more of a suggestion in Body Geo Weeks to tailor it. Because remember, this will be zone 2. And so I'm also going to send out a spreadsheet that you guys can use that are going to help you calculate these. Not that simple. I mean, it does that simple math for you, but it's also going to break down what they recommend your new zones being. Like I said, my zones changed quite a bit. It changed to where I can run faster in zone 2 because I have more beats per minute to spare, but it also made zone 4 a lot worse because my heart rate was calculated at higher. So I have to run really fast to stay in zone 4. And so we will be using this quite a bit, and then it'll make its way into all the programming over time. Like I said, this is for the athletes who really want to dial in zone 2, because if your zone 2 is a 20 beat per minute range or something like that, we're now going down to a 10 beat per minute range. So whatever number you just got, your 10 beat per minute range would be that number minus 10. So if you got 150, then 140 would be your lower range. So your math zone would be 140 to 150. And so that's what you want to know. And we have notes for this when we put it in the programming so you don't get confused. But this is going to be really building up. And for some of you, it might not change that much, because if you were sick or whatever, and you had to subtract 10 or whatever it is, it may not change much of a zone 2 for you. It might be relatively where you're at, but this is so we can kind of differentiate everybody, and everyone's super dialed in off of some really proven methodology to make sure you're getting the most out of zone 2 possible. So that is it. That is the kind of the new method that we'll be rolling into next year. So like I said, BCT has been trying it out. So far, I've liked the results and their feedback, and we'll keep going. So if you guys have any questions about it, let me know. Yeah. So Evan said zone 3 is the new zone 2. And it's kind of true. It just depends on like you specifically. If you're an athlete who's made a lot of progress, that's probably true. If you're not, and you have any of those other issues, it might not be that much different for you. Track briefs. Are we there already? Man, we're only like 30 minutes in. All right, who's first? Shred. Okay, so real quick on Shred. VD program Shred. He's here today. Looks like he is I don't think you're muted anymore. Are you here, VD? Maybe not. It says your mic is unmuted.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Awesome. So I wanted you to take a stab at it. You tell people what's going on in your Shred track.
Wow, putting me on the spot. Didn't expect that. Okay.
Well, I verbatim gave you what I wrote, so you could just read it if you want to.
Okay. I feel like that'd be insulting intelligence of those on the stream, but basically it's going to be what you're already used to. So you're going to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday with an optional MYS on Saturday, like every other track. So no differences there. Cycle is going to be very precise in the strength. So I'm going to give you tempos. You're going to have strict rest periods. So stick to the tempo, stick to the rest period, and you're going to get the best benefits. Overall, on the 12 weeks, not necessarily worried about how much weight you have on the bar because this is a shred track. The goal is body comp. It is not a strength track. I am not looking for you to get stronger. You are on the wrong track if that's what you're looking for. The goal is to maintain strength or maybe gain a little bit, but the ultimate goal is body comp. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. I love you. Go to a different track. You will see some Olympic movements in here. So if you're not comfortable with doing that, I will provide a substitute for you guys, or there will always be a scale. So don't feel like you can't do the shred track if you see some of that kind of stuff. I will always take care of you. The first wave is going to be loading weeks, and then second wave will dial it in a little more. And then that final wave, that last 4 weeks of the program, we're going to try to add some weight on, get a little bit of gains out of it. But again, conditioning for this is going to be geared towards body comp. So you're going to see a lot of zone 2, a lot of zone 3, not necessarily running, but more like interval weight training or mixed modal aerobic type stuff where we use weights in addition to either running, aerodyne, or rowing. Is that good enough?
That was perfect. Sweet. So this was not planned, but I also see that Marco's mic's already off. So I think Marco might be getting ready.
Marco's going to bail before you put him on the spot.
Yeah, he's going to like get out of here. Okay, so here is the Endure track. Marco, if you do want to take it, you absolutely can. If not, I will take it. I'll give you.
Yeah, I had to switch computers.
Okay.
But I'm good to go now. Yeah, I can take a stab at it. I mean, VD went for it. Why not? So for the people that have been on Endure for a while, at least 3 or 4 cycles, I guess, or that have been on Endure before when I started taking care of the track, we're going back to what we did in the past, which is mainly switching the strength that we've been working on for a while now and replacing it with more body composition or body geometry oriented strength work. It's mainly because I want, quote unquote, my Endure athletes to get a little bit of a break on all the strength that we've been doing, especially this last cycle with the form to failure, and build up a little bit more on the quote unquote normal strength that usually is on the Endure track. But everything else is going to be as it has been, long and short intervals. You guys are not going to see those long MMAs for this cycle, but they're coming right back after the cycle. It's going to be mainly setting ourselves up to a great base point to build upon for the rest of the year going forward with Endure. And I mean, I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I've seen on Facebook this last few cycles. But it's going to be a lot of work as usual because the track is called Endure. And I mean, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. It's hypertrophy work for what concerns body geometry. Like I said, short and long intervals as we've been doing. And especially during this last cycle, I had the same quote unquote pain workout or really strong workout for what concerns endurance. There was a check mark throughout the cycle, throughout the weeks or the waves, so that the Endure athletes had a way to judge their progress throughout. You're gonna have 2 days of body geometry strength work and 2 days of Endure. That's pretty much it.
Perfect,
Jay,
man.
you got anything to add?
No, that's great. Yeah, I think this is a really well planned. What Marco does is, I talk about VD and Marco just being phenomenal programmers, but you hear Marco say something like this is setting you up for the rest of the year, and that's so true. So, I mean, I don't know how many of you are taking really long-term views in your own training, but that is how we look at it in the programming. So it's okay to go cycle to cycle, one track to the next. I do think that you should stay 12 weeks on one track the entire time. But really, if you want to see the true results of something, try track out for a year. We're thinking about you in that process, and that's how we're programming these things. So keep that in mind as you go through it. All right, strength. If Joe doesn't want to be put on a spot, he won't be. But I'll just ask Joe, do you want me to do it or do you want to do it?
I mean, at this point, I feel like I have to.
Yeah,
I mean, it would just be a cop out for me to go third and be like, oh, well, you didn't have to do it, but here I am. So I wish I could paint a pretty picture like Rob Ross would for this, but in a world where you want to get stronger, you're going to pick things up and then put them down. And that's basically the plan. That is Strength Track. If you have any questions, let me know. But throughout the cycle, so we program in 4-week waves. The first 4 weeks, we're going to be a lot more volume, a lot of body weight volume in general. The second wave will be, we're going to lift some heavy things, clang and bang, pick things up and put them down, and some weighted carries. So it's going to be a little bit of a powerlifting strongman, fun 4 weeks. And then we're going to finish up the cycle with some dynamic lifting, some EMOMs, some powerful explosive things, because we've already built up earlier in the track. We know how to lift heavy now, and then we're going to move that heavy weight fast, and then we're going to smash some PRs after the 12 weeks. So there is my elevator pitch for strength.
Yeah, I think something we've never done, not that I can recall, on the strength track. So one, I looked at kind of Joe's overview, and he's doing just a lot of cool strength techniques, we're going to lift heavy things, but he's getting into, clusters and tempos and all these things. But they're also structured, obviously not in a random way, very well from wave to wave, which I think is awesome. But then what the part I don't think that we've done before is the energy system per wave. So I completely misspelled it. I said with a specific Ingard system for each wave. So that's all on me. But that was supposed to be specific energy system for each wave. And that's what he's done. So I think that's a really cool thing that we haven't really done before, but I think the athletes will really enjoy, because you'll get to see short progressions on conditioning over each 4 weeks, and then move on to something new. So what does that do? One, it keeps you mentally engaged because you're not worried about having the same type of conditioning throughout the entire cycle. So you're only doing something for 4 weeks. And two, the conditioning, is not going to be anything too crazy or overwhelming, because it is the strength track. It is not endure, hard to kill, or shred or anything like that. So there we go. That is the strength track. Does anybody on the team want to brief hard to kill? I'll take it. So 13 areas of training will be hit every 30-day wave. I say that every single time. But the focus this wave is going to be strength. And we've been doing a lot of monostructural work, which is, just on the rower, on the Airdyne, all those things. We started to incorporate more mixed modal last cycle. And so I'm trying to do a little bit less monostructural, and a lot more mixed modal. So grit and grunt work will be all over the place. And what does this mean? What does this look like in your hard to kill day to day? I say athletic work, so a lot of explosive movements. And so whether it's barbell work or even with kettlebells, a lot of interval weight training. So a lot of circuits, mixed modal aerobic, mixed modal anaerobic workouts. And if you're like, okay, what does all this mean? What does it look like? Whenever you see those yellow workouts on hard to kill track and they've got an awesome name, and you might be a little bit scared of it because it's got, like, if we took the time to name it and the name is like, sounds a little scary, it probably is. You're going to see a lot of that on the hard to kill track, because that I truly believe is a great way to build, just great general physical preparedness are these MMEs and MMNs. We program a lot of them. So I think that you will really enjoy it. And it's not, this is where we start to get edge closer to what people would call CrossFit, but it's still so far from CrossFit because we will have weights at given percentages, built-in rest times, all the things that we put our brain into in programming them that is not normally there. So it's not just going to be as fast as possible or as much as possible. It's still going to be structured. I'm going to be looking for sustainability and repeatability, but a lot more mixed modal work than normal and a lot less monostructural. So if you're like, hey, I really wanted to improve running and all these other things, this probably is not the track this cycle. You might want to head over to Endure or something like that. If you do want to see a little bit more of that, because there will be less of that on the hard to kill for at least the first 12 weeks here, which also is good because you might not have to leave your garage or your space too much. You can do most of it all in one spot. So that's what it is. And then the last thing I put an asterisk, MAF will be making an appearance. So there will be, when you see monostructural work, if it is a run, it will most likely be in this MAF zone that we just calculated. So that's what we're going to be doing. And so you'll get to see some of that thrown in, and then it'll gradually make it into the other cycles through body geometry, which is that 4th week, and then probably be incorporated otherwise. So that is it. That is the hard to kill track. We did not brief the women's health track. I don't know if there were a lot of questions about that, but like I said, Ashley is here and she can answer any questions. And the main reason I didn't cover it is because I thought that Ashley was, I thought that we were almost capped out anyway. I wasn't sure. I forgot to follow up with Ashley. And so I didn't necessarily want to push it too hard on the webinar if we couldn't really accept any more people. But if you guys do have questions, she is here and can answer any of those. All right, sample training. You go to garagegymathlete.com/2020. I'll also be sending it out in 5-Line Friday. As soon as this webinar is over, I'm going to send it out so you guys have access to it. You will have to enter in your name and email address to get the sample programming this time around if you're going to go get it right now, just because it is, we had to protect it for some other reasons for people who weren't Garage Gym athletes. So it is now email protected. At a minimum, you got to enter in your email. Don't worry, that doesn't do anything, especially if you already have an account with us. You'll just get immediate access to the training and move on. Order of operations going to be on Legacy. Yeah, I was going to talk about BCT as well. So Legacy track, we are starting, Joe and I, we just had this conversation. We are going to 1-man-1 barbell. Then I think it's OMOK, 1-man-1 kettlebell, then 1-man system. I'm pretty sure that's order of operations for Legacy. BCT. So good question, Marshall. BCT is open, will be open if you want to join. You pretty much just have to let us know and we will get you in there, but it's not open to everyone. We're still going to have the same stipulations because it's not an easy track. This is something that's we've kept super behind the scenes. I haven't mentioned it anywhere because I've been dealing with it, but I have kind of even pushed myself far with 3 squat sessions per week to where I'm not injured, but it is pushing my body. And so I just don't know if I feel comfortable bringing anybody else on who doesn't have, a lot of training experience or has been around the community for a long time or has gone through the coaching program. So we still have the stipulations in place. You need to be around Garage Gym Athlete training for at least a year. And you also, or you are an EO3 coach. I mean, you've been through the coaching course and have finished it. That is our stipulations right now. So if you guys want to join BCT and you kind of meet that criteria, go for it. For the 20-ish people who are on and maybe the others who are thinking about it, we are cutting back on the squatting down to twice a week, getting in some additional lifts there. And there will be some more deadlifting, but a lot of running. What does the running look like? The running is pretty set at this point. It's just different variations of it. We typically do a zone 2 run once per week, a longer zone 2 run, a moderate to long zone 4 run or interval, and then actual intervals in shorter distance. So like 400s, 800s, or just straight speed work at like 100s. So that is the BCT track if anyone is interested. So what questions do we have? Or do I need to answer other than the one I just pulled up? I don't even know. There it is. Q&A. Did you hear that you need to have gone through the coaching course to join BCT? I had heard that. So yeah, BCT, those are the stipulations. I think I already answered it. A year, it's not both. It's either a year or it is the coaching course. You've been through it. All right. Any other questions? I'll leave it open, see if any more come in. Yeah, so good question. On 3 block, it follows hard to kill almost exactly. We just go through and make sure that we're getting enough of a stimulus on 3 block for people to still make progress, but it follows hard to kill programming exactly. Another question, I figure zone 2, how do I figure zone 3 or 4? So after the webinar, I am going to, so that what you just calculated was not zone 2. It's a zone within zone 2. We're calling it the math zone. So I will post a spreadsheet in the group after the webinar, so you guys can go use it, and it'll calculate everything for you, and it'll break down all your new zones. And this might be where it's eye-opening for some people who have been doing this for a while. So yeah, I will post a spreadsheet with that one. All right. So we got one from Jonathan. He says, I've been doing no gear and recently switched to Legacy. I'm going to be doing a relatively difficult event in May. I know I need to increase strength, but I also need to train with my teammates outside of GGA training every couple of days with rucking, sandbag, and technique work. So I don't want to overtrain. I was thinking of switching to strength track, but I'm open to other advice. Thanks. You know, that's not a bad idea there, Jonathan. Like if you're going to kind of be doing a lot of long form rucking or sandbag work, the strength track might be a good place for you to just get in that strength work. And then you're kind of doing your conditioning elsewhere. I don't think any other track that would be a good idea. So strength track is a good one. Is there going to be anything that includes Olympic lifts? That's from Lance. So VD mentioned the shred track will have some type of Olympic lifting on it. Hard to kill track will be do explosive movements. So we will be doing like kettlebell snatch and cleans and stuff, but we will not have straight snatch and clean work on hard to kill. So it'd be shred or hard to kill if you're just looking for explosive stuff. James says, I have an injured elbow. Should I switch to bodyweight track while I rehab? I'm currently on H2K. I think Joe just answered that one. Yeah, I think definitely get checked out, see what your doctor can say, but it's probably not a bad idea. If you're cleared for bodyweight activity, then that's going to be the perfect track for you. So someone asked about, or Jeff asked about zone 2. Do you have any links to any of the studies you've read on zone 2? Would love to read more on it, but it's hard to track down actual studies. Yeah. So what you're looking at, and I definitely, you know, we could probably put a blog post together on zone 2. Zone 2 is right at the science part of zone 2 is bioenergetics. So which fuels are we burning at different intensities? So that is probably, you may have been looking for a zone 2 specific study, but you really need to be looking into bioenergetic studies and how our body utilizes different macronutrients as fuel at given intensities. So if you kind of head down that path, Jeff, that might be a better direction to go, because as far as a straight up, hey, zone 2 improved me, that's going to be more anecdotal. You can look into Phil Maffetone, who's trained, you know, hundreds of Ironman triathletes, and they're essentially training zone 2, but everyone wants to brand it. So he's going to say it's his method and all this map, but it's just zone 2. Athletes have been doing it for years. So that's the only other thing. So that might be a good place, Jeff, but I we could probably put together some more resources and show you what we've uncovered as well. And then Kyle Johnson, when/where is the next GGA outing? Man, we need to do something. I don't know. We absolutely have to have something in 2021. I'm hoping that we'll probably make a decision by the first quarter of next year, like see how things are going with coronavirus and travel and what's shut down and what's open. But it looks like things are going in the right direction as far as things are looking now. At least that's my optimistic side. So that's, we'll let you know. And basically my answer, like I really want to do that as well. Yeah. So you mentioned a few months back, you were looking at Fit Week stats plus maybe standards by age group. Any updates? Yes, I do have unpublished age group standards for some of the conditioning events. That was the only thing that kind of broke down to needing an age group. So I will post those during Fit Week next week so you guys can kind of adjust and see that. All right. I've got a kettlebell, barbell, plyo box, and the basics. Is there any other pieces of equipment we should consider? Landmine. I've never seen the purpose of a landmine. I mean, I've always just put my barbell in a corner and that's worked. But if you have that and all the basics, I think you're fine. Pull-up bar, as long as you have a pull-up bar. I mean, that's typically all we ever recommend. If you have a plyo box, a barbell, a kettlebell, and a pull-up bar, you're going to be good. A good set of squat stands, that's kind of implied. And if you don't have them, then you can build them. So those are the things that you would really need to succeed.
One more thing, I'll just interject while there's a pause before questions. Track changes, do them, as soon as you can, if you know what it is, because this week everybody's on the same deload week, and next week everybody's on the same fit week as well. So nothing changes no matter what track you're on. So get them in soon. And since next week is Christmas, you don't want to make sure you're on the right track before programming starts on the 28th. So I just want to get that out there. So yeah, get it in.
All right, Summer asks, where can I find the Fit Week standards after this webinar? Are they posted online or in the app? So that image I can share, there's a post about it in the Facebook group, and I will repin that at the top because we have all the standards listed. But that's what's super easy about it is once Fit Week opens officially, so when the new programming drops for everybody this weekend, you'll just see the standards of each lift right there in the app. So you'll know where you should be. Like it'll just tell you in the app, and then you can put whether you got 0 points, 1 point, 2 points, all that good stuff. So the app really is the best place to look. And I think there's probably a link for that. You know how there's an app for that. I feel like I'm going to pull up my app right now and see, go to more. I don't know if that's the new standards. We have it in there. So I don't know if that's it or not, but I don't want to click on it right now. So it might be there as well. We put it a lot of different places. All right. Any more questions? I'll give here we go. Jeff says, just joined. My plan is to start with shred for cycle to drop some pounds, then going to hard to kill, which would recommend just jumping on hard to kill. Yeah. I mean, if you've got a long-term mindset, man, I don't think that you can go wrong if you dial in your nutrition and then stay on the hard to kill track. I think you'd be just fine. VD specifically programs shred, for body composition and losing body fat. So, I mean, the programming is slightly more tailored to it. But the only other thing that you have to factor into is what you're going to enjoy most. So look at the sample programming. So my official answer, if you're going to be around and you're going to commit long-term, then go hard to kill, just dial in your nutrition. If you want to do a speedier way, do shred, but look at the sample programming and see what you would enjoy more, because I think that's the most important thing here is like, what are you going to stick to? What are you going to have fun doing? All right. I will say going once, going twice, and we will close it out here. All right, guys, thank you so much for just attending the webinar and being a part of the community. We had a lot of people on. Nobody got kicked out today. We solved that problem. So that's awesome. So thanks for being a part of Garage Gym Athlete, for attending the webinar. If you guys have any questions, we will move these shenanigans to the Facebook group, and you guys can ask any additional questions there. Go check out the programming and let us know if you have any questions, guys. Thanks for attending.